Welcome learners. In this session, we shall study about the areas of application of social psychology. Social psychology is a scientific study of human behavior in society. It studies human behavior within a group of people such that how human behaves in the presence of others or that how human behavior is influenced by others. It attempts to understand the socio-psychological causes and motives of human behavior in groups. Social psychology has a wide significance in the modern world. Social psychologists focus on societal concerns that have a powerful influence on individual well-being as well as the health of society as a whole. It includes the problems such as substance abuse, crime, prejudice, domestic abuse, public health, bullying and aggression. The objective of this session is to discuss in detail about application of social psychology at different areas. We shall also look into the specific areas like health, law and the workplace. Application of social psychology. The application of social psychology is now gaining a momentum in the contemporary world. Many of the modern social psychologists are currently working in hospitals, government offices, business organizations and other semi-academic and non-academic institutions to access, control and predict human behavior under different settings and solve social problems. In view of applied bias attached to social psychology, Rodin has defined social psychology as the utilization of social psychological principles and research methods in real world settings in the attempt to solve the social problems. Social psychology has gained its attention on different areas. Role of social psychology in legal system, health psychology, psychology in work setting, that is organizational behavior, consumer behavior, solution of social problems, social psychology in education and social psychology in crime and delinquency, social psychology in community and national affairs, social psychology in military, etc. These are different areas in which psychology acts as a key factor in various spheres. Role of social psychology in legal system. Legal systems are a part of political, social, economic development of any given country. Major social changes are always reflected in the laws of the land. The relationship between social psychology and law may not be common in our understanding, but it helps when we look at it as a coded set of rules that regulate human behavior and interactions. The regulation of human behavior through set laws help in conflict resolution and guiding accepted behaviors. There is a very deep connection between human mind and behavior and the functioning of the legal system. In a society, there is enough scope for interaction, and when people interact, their behavior and judgment, etc., are affected by various factors like attitude, emotions, belief and cognitions. In the courtroom or in a legal system, these attitudes and beliefs affect the participants like the judges and jury, pleader, attorney, defendant and witness in a major way. Hugh Munsterberg started investigating the accuracy in the statements of the eyewitness at a turn of the century. On the basis of his observation, he pointed out that people have by and large a tendency to reconstruct the events in a way that do not match what actually occurred. He opined that emotions strongly affect the memories of the witness, as a result of which accounts of what occurred or happened were very often greatly distorted or transformed by fear, anxiety and anger, etc. Recently, there was an effort to increase the accuracy of the testimonies of the eyewitness. Munsterberg devises a psychological instrument to detect lying and also investigated the application of the technique of hypnosis as a means to bring accuracy in the testimony of the witness. Both lie detection and hypnosis are the center of current research efforts in this field. The foremost issue under the legal system that needs to be focused on is the crime and the criminal behavior. Crime can be termed as a social issue and can be linked to various other social issues and problems like poverty, discrimination, socio-economic status and so on. Thus, it is important to view crime from social psychology lens in order to understand it and suggest suitable intervention strategies to deal with it. When we try to understand crime or the criminal behavior, we need to focus on the factors that leads to criminal behavior. And in this context of social psychology, it is important to focus on the environment or the social situation of the offender rather than only his or her personal characteristics. De-individuation, one such factor in the context of criminal behavior could be de-individuation. De-individuation cannot only have a negative impact on the community, but can also promote criminal behavior and thus needs to be dealt with adequately. De-individuation refers to the fact that when people are placed into groups or surrounded by a crowd, many people seem to lose their sense of identity or individuality, resulting in the loss of self-control or moral restraints. De-individuation is commonly used to explain various situations of violence, including genocide, violent riots, or crowds, gangs, or antisocial group behavior. Criminal behaviors like stealing are more likely when individual is in a group. Social facilitation. Yet another concept that we can discuss in the context of social psychology and the crime or criminal behavior is the social facilitation. Social facilitation refers to the findings that people sometimes show an increased level of effort as a result of real, imagined or implied presence of others. In a study by Thornberry, the boys of the Rochester Youth Development Study who was a gang member were found to be much more delinquent than the non-gang members. Antisocial patterns of attitude. The study of attitudes, including antisocial attitudes and their relation to behavior, is an important endeavor in a social psychology. Attitudes are generally thought of as evaluative judgments that a person makes about an issue, an object or event or a person. Thus, a person's attitude towards crime may be relevant to his or her tendency to commit a crime. The frustration-aggression hypothesis. We can also discuss about the frustration-aggression hypothesis in the context of criminal behavior. This hypothesis is a social psychology model that states that anger, hostility and violence are more likely an outcome of an individual being prevented from achieving his or her goals, that is the frustration. This theory is based on the psychodynamic theory of catharsis. Catharsis is the process of realizing or relieving strong or repressed emotion. Social psychology and law. Social psychology can find its application in legal system to understand the behavior of the jury, lawyers, eyewitness, defendants as well as the accused. Further, it can also find its application to arrest, interrogation and prosecution process. police investigation, social psychology can play an important role in understanding the investigation that is carried out by police. Investigation mainly involves a careful and systematic collection of information, and this involves interacting with the victims, eyewitness and even suspect. It is important that this process is free from any bias and error and is carried out as per their required procedure as stated by the law. Eyewitness testimony. The application of social psychology can also be discussed in the context of how eyewitness testimony, mainly ability to identify perpetrator. There could be errors in this as well as this identification will depend on various circumstances. For instance, the eyewitness could make an error when under stress while witnessing the event. The condition under which the eyewitness has to identify the witness may also play a role. In this regard, the foils, that is the individual who are innocent, who stand in the lineup along with the suspects, need to be selected carefully. The lineup could also be sequential lineup, one at a time, rather than simultaneous lineup, all lined up together. Thus, error can be reduced in investigation and the perpetrator identification process using the principles and concepts in social psychology. Jury. A jury is a sworn body of people, the jurors, convened to render an impartial verdict, a finding of the fact on a question, officially submitted to them by a court or to a set of penalty or judgment. It is important that the jurors need to be impartial. They need to reach a decision based on the admissible trial evidence alone. According to Widemer and Schuller, a juror could have following prejudice or that can lead to bias. Interest prejudice. The juror has interest or stake in the trial outcome. Specific prejudice. The juror has certain attitudes and beliefs that may interfere with his or her impartial judgment of the case. Generic prejudice. The juror may have a general attitude related to race or gender and so on that can interfere with his or her evaluation of the evidence. Normative prejudice. A strong community sentiment about a case could interfere with the ability of the judge to make an impartial decision about the case. Present climate. Besides the above, the principle of social psychology can also be applied to understand and improve the present climate or setup. Prison includes a social environment as various offenders as well as the guards interact with each other on a day-to-day basis. Prisons need to play an important role in rehabilitation of the offender, and thus the environment needs to be created in such a way that it facilitates positive behavior change. Social psychology and health. We know that good health matters not only to individuals but to society at large as well. It is also, however, that true that not everyone has the same opportunity to live healthy lives. There are varied social factors that influence our health related behaviors like our social surroundings, housing conditions, the food we eat, the transport, family and friends and social communication. The health and social psychology research group conducts research focusing on a number of interrelated areas including understanding and changing health behaviors, effects of stress on health and behavior, use of medical technologies, qualitative understanding of health, mindfulness, coping and resilience, biological health influence on health, patient safety, understanding the development of well-being and the resilience, stereotyping and performance outcomes. By understanding psychological factors that influence health and constructively applying the knowledge, health psychologists can improve health by working directly with individual patients or indirectly in large-scale public health programs. In addition, health psychologists can help train other healthcare professionals, for example, the physicians and nurses, to apply the knowledge the discipline as generated when treating patients. Health psychologists work in variety of settings alongside other medical professionals in hospitals and clinics and in public health departments, working on the large scale behavior change and health promotion programs, and in universities and medical schools where they teach and conduct research. Gondola views that some personality variables predispose a person having certain illness. Increase in physical fitness leads to an improvement in psychological characteristics such as creativity. Thus, according to Rogers, health psychology studies the psychological process that affects the prevention and treatment of physical illness. Prevention being always better than cure, preventing illness is always desirable than treating illness. Social psychology and mental health. One of the important applications of social psychology is in the area of mental health and psychotherapy. As a branch of behavior science, it attempts to apply basic psychological knowledge to both the prevention and cure of individual behavior disorders which threatens the security of either the individual or the society in which they live. Mental health problems such as depression, anxiety, stress, phobia, schizophrenia, psychosis and personality disorders are growing problems of the modern world. Most mental health problems have socio-psychological causes such as stressful relationship with others, death of loved ones, marriage adjustment issues and weak family bonds, breakups, working in a stressful environment and unexpected social changes. Such social circumstances become a cause of emotional disturbance, mental retardation, drug abuse, abnormal behavior and even criminal behavior. Social psychology plays a significant role in addressing mental health issues. Social psychology is concerned with the diagnosis and the treatment of the mental illness. As most of the mental health issues nowadays have socio-psychological causes, it is a better approach to identify these causes and address them accordingly. Social psychology provides basic knowledge and tools to identify these causes which are indirectly linked to physical health of a person but directly originate from the social context where the person may experience these issues. In some countries, social psychologists are licensed to treat patients with mental health illness by using psychological practices of the treatment. In many other countries, social psychologists work together with psychiatrists and medical doctors for the treatment of the mental illness. Social psychology and work setting. The study of organizational behavior involves what people do in organizational settings. In business, behavior is influenced not only by economic factors but social psychology as well. Weber's theory of bureaucracy was conceived without any regards for interpersonal dynamics of work setting. Later, Hawthorne studies indicated that workers' productivity was increased by social factors such as attention paid to the workers. Most of the people spend their half of the time at a job outside the home. Thus, the study of organizational behavior has broad consequences for both employees and employers. This field seeks to understand and predicts human behavior in organizational settings by means of scientific study of individuals, groups, and the structure and the functions of organization. The social psychologists play a significant role in achieving the job satisfaction and assessing its effects, selecting the right employee and solving the industrial disputes, etc. Social psychology and business. Business is the crucial to a country's economy because it provides goods, service and job opportunities to the citizens. Social psychology plays a prominent role in the business sector. Nowadays, business uses psychological techniques for boosting the production and the sale of goods. Television and advertisement for products are more made on the basis of social psychological techniques of marketing. These advertisements are made to change the attitude of the people towards a product in the desired way. Attitude change is a part of the subject matter of the social psychology that guides how to change the attitude of others towards something positively. For example, by presenting the products in the advertisements in a way that fascinates the viewers. Surveys are conducted by the business to understand the socio-psychological orientation of the people towards different products and services. These surveys are based on assessing the people's psychological response to different features of a product. Considering these psychological inclination of people for making the products ensures that marketability of the products and boosts the sales of the product. The names, labels, titles and the logos of the product are designed considering the psychological inclination of its target customers. Similarly, other consideration of the products, for example, colors, flavors, characteristics, features, cost, durability and other considerations are designed in a way that has a psychological appeal for the target customers. Customer service is a key contributor to the success of a business. It helps in building a good relationship with a customer that is majorly based on customer satisfaction with the service representative. These service representatives are generally trained by the qualified social psychologist so they can acquire good communication skills to build relationship with the customer and convince them using psychological techniques. Consumer behavior. The behavior of the individual in advertising, product information, packaging, brand names and all other factors involved in marketing products and the services comes under applied social psychology. Consumer psychology is that field which deals with the factors affecting consumer behavior. All these discussions lead one to conclude that application of social psychology to organizational and consumer behavior is of crucial importance in every aspect of one's life. It would really be difficult to conceive any human behavior where the findings of social psychology would be inapplicable and irrelevant. The science of social psychology as an applied science contributes a lot in dealing with the problems of national and international tension, communal and social prejudice, discrimination and conflicts relating to socio-economic status in uncovering the relevant causes of these problems in the specific situations. The concrete details of various problems of social psychology are to be known for applying social psychology to the concrete situation. For all these works, careful research on applied social psychology is essential. The various problems of social psychology change from time to time and from culture to culture and even in some extent in the same culture, depending upon the parental and neighborhood and interpersonal problems influence various social problems which are also studied by the applied social psychologist. However, it is reasonable to hold that findings of the social psychological research and can be widely generalizable and potentially useful to all human beings of the society provided they have an applied bias. Only formulating theories and the principles on social psychology is not enough. Social psychology and military. Social psychology has a prominent role in military organizations. The soldiers are trained physically as well as psychologically to cope up with difficult situations courageously. The psychological techniques are used to train the soldiers to become fearless strugglers and determined to their aim. The soldiers have to come across various situations in life such as wars, disasters, harsh environmental conditions and so on. The soldiers are trained to have an emotionally balanced personality to deal with such situations bravely. This is why the selection procedure of candidates for military service generally involves specific psychological tests. The purpose of the psychological evaluation is to ensure that the candidate must have the psychological attributes required for the delivery of military services. Social problems in military. The application of research on a group dynamics may also be drawn in connection with military job performance and military organizations. The performance of such social units as bomber crews and submarine crews has been explored in terms of variables of leadership, group cohesiveness and role relationships. The application of social psychology to the military organizations are essentially parallel to those in business and industry, although more formalized and rigidly structured. Military organizations are essentially analogous to industrial communities. Social psychology and education. Social psychology has also an important role in the sector of education. It helps the teachers in improving their teaching skills according to the psyche of the different levels or the ages of the student so they can learn effectively. It helps the students in improving their learning skills, cognition skills and intelligence level. It devises certain contextual techniques for the motivation of the students and the good student-teacher relationship. Poor academic performance of a student is sometimes due to socio-psychological issues. A restrictive environment, lack of encouragement, punishments, overburden of studies, fear of failure in the exam and the harsh treatment may destroy the students' creativity as well as their capacity to learn adequately. Since these problems originate from the contextual environment, social psychology highlights these issues in the educational environment in schools, colleges and universities in order to make an environment that is supportive for effective learning. It also guides students on how to cope up with the stress related to their studies such as exam stress. The teacher uses verbal communication in attempting to shape attitudes, opinion and values of the student. Continued interaction of the students with teachers for a longer period shows properties of organized groups. So, the educational research focus on psychological study of a group dynamics. Therefore, the economic and social psychology are interrelated. Conclusion. To conclude, in this session, we have discussed the various areas of application of social psychology. We have discussed about the application of social psychology to the legal system, under which numerous issues are covered, including the crime related investigation, to the eyewitness testimony, to jury prejudices and the prison settings. The other significant area of psychological and behavioral process is health, in which we have studied about the role of social psychologists in mental health, illness and health care. Apart from the legal system, the health social psychology also plays the key role in the work environment, business, military and education, which is discussed in the text. Finally, we can understand that social psychologists study how social influence, social perception and social interaction influence individual and the group behavior. Thank you.